Okay, that's us back on. Took me a little while to reset everything. Need to stop here and just get things organised. So we'll hop back into the cockpit. So, let's get to the runway and then I'll set up the our fire. If we get moving. So anyway, this is Nightmare on Scam Street. Doing a flight from Glasgow to Dublin, which should effectively be a very straightforward flight. But I'm going to set it so that we have an engine fire. We're going to lose number one engine. And I think I'm going to set it so that we lose the engine just at the just before we get to maximum cruise height. So maximum cruise height is 24,000 feet today. So I'm going to set the fire to actually happen at 23,000. Now we'll have a choice then. We can either try and go back to Glasgow, because by that time we'll be over water. We can continue to Dublin, which would be perfectly safe on one engine and might well be the best option. Or if we have trouble, we can go and go to an alternate airport like Prestwick, for example, because Prestwick's on the way. Have you noticed how the airplane's wobbling? It was really weird. I know there's some wind from the west, so we're probably getting gusts of wind. Strange, isn't it? Let's have a look at one of the other views. Cabin left middle. Oops, too far. See, look, the wings bouncing up and down. How curious. Need to get a wiggle on. So everything's set to live. I'm going to have to set our barometers when we get takeoff clearance, because they'll tell us the barometer settings then. No, we've definitely got a wobbly ride. I don't think the somewhat hard landing into the terrain did it any harm last time. Not that we'd carry on to the next flight anyway. So, as I say, we've got a maximum cruising height of 24,000. So, I'll set the fire conditional, set it to go off at, say, 22,000 or 23,000. And because that's a relatively quiet part of the journey. Now, this is intensely sort of very work intense, dealing with the fire, because you have to deal with the ECAM messages as they come up. Which reminds me, I'm going to take that ECAM and stick it somewhere else so I can see what's happening. Okay, so let's get some throttle on. If anybody's interested in making their own control system for the plane, and doesn't want to pay £200 or £300 for a throttle quadrant and a couple of levers and buttons, fancy doing it on the cheap, let me know, because I've actually done that myself. Made my throttle quadrant, and I've also made some extra controls, and they work extremely well. It feels like we've got a flat tyre, doesn't it? It feels like one of the wheels is bouncing backwards and forwards. So I'll have to stop here and then get clearance. When we get to the when we get our takeoff clearance, I'll set the barometers before we move off. So we've got to tune Glasgow Tower, request takeoff clearance. 3015. I don't know why I've got it set to decimal. It just keeps coming up with the same inches rather than millibars or something. So something I've got set not quite right. This has got to be 3015 as well. Right, so let's test our, we've got to get the brakes onto max. We should be able to test our takeoff config and it should be correct. Yes, it is. So we're good. Move it down so I can see the speeds. So this time we're gonna haven't got to worry about, oh yes, we've got to set the fire. Show you how to do that. We'll go to McDo First Officer. We go to the McDo menu. We're going to go to Config. We're going to go to Manual Failures. And we're going to go to Fire. And it says here activate immediate. We don't want that. We click there and activate conditionally. So we've only got immediate and conditional. If we leave it on immediate, it will instantly trigger the fire. We don't want the unextinguishable one, do we? Let's go back to the do menu. Config, manual failures, fire, conditional, and now we've got to scroll down until we find fire 2 bottles. And we said our cruising height is 24,000, so we'll say 23,000. So we're going to be quite high when this happens. So we're going to be above 23,000 feet. And then we click on ARM. So that's the engine fire. 2 bottles conditional on engine 1. So we don't need to worry about that anymore. So let's get ready to rumble before someone shouts at us for taking too long. In the event of a fire, the ECAM gives a series of instructions about what to do, and the order to do them in. It gives instructions on wait certain periods of time, like when you've dumped the first extinguishing agent in, it tells you to wait 30 seconds to see if the fire's gone out or not. And but it's really tricky when you're on your own. This is definitely one of those times when the first officer is absolutely essential. So because I know we're not worried about the fire starting yet, I'm just going to do a normal takeoff. So that's the throttles up to climb, now up to, and off we go. Slight nose wheel down, steering tiller to keep us in the runway. What did I forget? As normal, forgot to lift the nose. That's it. So 140 is V1 and VR, so we can get off the ground. Get the gear up. Forgot to set the climb, and never mind. So let's get this into control again. I think that sometime soon they're going to put weather radar . So we've got our flaps in now. We're pretty much set up on the glide, on the, yep, we can probably get autopilot on now. Yep. It's a fairly straightforward flight, Glasgow to Dublin. Yeah, Glasgow to Dublin. It's actually quite a nice flight. There's some nice views out there. So we're heading, despite what that says, we're heading westish at the moment. And it won't be long before we come over places like Girvan and Turnberry. Girvan's a lovely seaside place. Turnberry is famous for its golf course, of course. So we've got some clouds coming up. Obviously won't be an issue. because we're going through clouds, it may be a bit lumpy out there. So I'm going to leave the seatbelt sign on just now. I love the texture of the clouds, but I think they take quite a lot of processing power to draw them properly, you know, to show them. 12,000, so we're still well below our engine fire event. Shouldn't be anything else of a problem until we get there. So we're just coming over, I think that's like the Girvan coast there. Let's just drop the map down and have a quick look. There. Sometimes you don't think you've pressed it. Right, so there's we're heading sort of south now. We've had that turn. Okay, so Turnberry's, we're not near Turnberry. We're just going over the Ayrshire coastline here. There's Girvan. I think that's Turnberry there. Turnberry, Girvan. And then once we get past the Blacker waypoint, we head out into the Irish Sea. Straight down here. And a nice easy fly into Dublin. So where are we at? We're climbing up to 12,000. Should be there fairly soon. Set the barometers to standard. Now this is a weird thing. You'd imagine that when you're flying on the ground, they give you a barometer reading. They say barometer is 3015. But once you get a couple of thousand feet in the air, that barometer reading really doesn't have any significance because your air pressure changes as you go up. So when you reach a certain point in Europe, I think it's 6,000 feet, you change over from normal readings to a standard reading, which is in fact 3012992 or something like that. And then all heights they give you after that are relative to that standard reading, which is quite interesting because you can suddenly lose a few hundred feet when you do the changeover, but it's usually okay. Clouds abound. I wonder if there's any other aircraft in the way anywhere. Okay, I'm going to go to 220 right now. Can't see any other aircraft around us. Depending on what your settings are, you can sometimes pick them up on the display, and it will show you whether they're going up or down or level or whatever. Right, I'll take the seatbelt signs off for now. because we're above the clouds, it should be fairly calm. So as I said before, oh, hang on. Ace, sorry, good luck, Ace. Yeah, hi. Sorry, I didn't see you. I had the another screen over the streaming software. Yeah, I'm flying from Glasgow, and I'm flying to Dublin. And the idea is, if you're still there, I hope you are. Just give me a nod. Just give me a sec. Yep, you're fine. You're there. Yeah, we're flying from Glasgow to Dublin, which is a fairly straightforward flight. At 23,000 feet. Yeah, 23,000 feet. I'm going to have an engine fire in engine 1. I've programmed an engine fire. We're going to be at 23,000 feet. If you look at this line here, this blue line with the arrow, that's our getting to 23,000 feet. What I want to 22,000 feet, sorry, that I've set. So what I want to do is actually move that line past our ETP. ETP is like the middle of the flight. That's the equal time point, I think it's called, which means you can either go backwards or carry on. Doesn't make any difference. It's the same thing. So it's asked us for 23. I'm going to get 23 on there now. In fact, I'm going to get 23. No, we've got to go to 24, so I'm going to go up to 24,000. The flight doesn't take very long. It's only about 40 minutes or something like that. It's taken me longer because I got waylaid. Yeah, I got waylaid just after takeoff. I got distracted trying to set something up and forgot to fly the plane. Yeah, so we had a little bit of an impact with the terrain, which is why I had to turn it off and start it up again. So we're nearly at the midway point. So we haven't been flying very long. As soon as we get to 23,000 feet, though, we'll have all sorts of things to do. And it's engine 1, which is the left engine. And what I've done for my reference is I've pulled this eCam page off of here and put it on the right hand side of my screen that you can't see. That's what's covering the chat window. So I've got a better view of it, basically. Just go up a bit faster. We'll get that 24,000 feet there, so we'll just be at the ETP. Yeah, I'm from around the place, actually, to be honest with you. I've spent time over in the States. I spent time in the Far East. I had various things going on. When I first started this channel, I was working in the States and also in Norway. Right, I've got a reasonably good knowledge about this aircraft, and that's because I've flown it a lot. Although it might not seem it sometimes when I make stupid mistakes. But no, I fly this simulator on Microsoft Flight Sim, and I've also got access to another simulator which I use, which is also an Airbus A320, just like this one. So yeah, I get a lot of A320 flying, but I'm not a real pilot. I'm just a simulator pilot. Right, any second now we're going to get the fire alarm. I've set some switches up to give us quick access to the various panels rather than... Oh, there we go. So we have a fire engine 1. So we have to reduce throttle lever 1 to idle. And we've got to put engine master 1 off. That's that. Following the ECAM actions here, look. So we've got to trigger the... we've got to do the fire. And we've got to use agent 1. So now we've got to notify ATC. So Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is NOS 5, November Oscar Sierra 5. Firing number 1 engine. We're trying to deal with it just now. We've set up 1 bottle, and we are looking for alternatives when we've done a few checks. So we've still got a fire. Still active, so now we can set off the second bottle. So now we seem to have the fire out. So we've got a few things to look out for now, and it's quite tricky now because we've only got 1 engine. We can... So things is telling us to land as soon as possible. If buffeting, max speed 240, avoid icing conditions. So we seem to be okay in that respect. We've got the thrust levers in the right place. Engine 1 is shut down, and we've extinguished the fire. So we can make a decision now to carry on to Dublin, or we could turn around. I think actually we'll do a look at the McDo, and we'll see where our nearest airport is. Airport. No, what we want, sorry, is data, and then we want closest airports, and we've got to know that they're big enough to take us. So it looks like EGAD, EGAC, EGNS, EGAA. At the moment, we're doing all right. I don't think we need to worry about going to a different airport. So we just want to avoid high speeds above 240. So we've done our maydays. If we turn our squawk to 7700, air traffic control will start telling us to put it back where it should be. There's no facility right now. Yeah, I set the fire alarm. You fly Boeing 777. Did I make this fire alarm in MS 2020? Yes, I did. We're okay for time at the moment. On the McDo, you've got a config button. Then you can go to failures and switch manual. And then you can select fire, which is what I did. We're going to change that to conditional, and then you can scroll down until you've got engine fire, 2 bottles, that one there, and then you arm it, and that's how we set the fire. So right now we're wanting to reduce height. Hope that helped. Have you ever crashed a plane? Not a real one. This one I crashed just before I came online again. I made some errors. I didn't look at what I was doing. So our instructions are land as soon as possible, looking for air bleed, electrics and hydraulics. So if we look at the electrics, we've got number 1 engine missing, so engine 2 is providing all of the power. I suppose we could, let's have a look at the hydraulics, because I think there's a hydraulic issue as well. That side is lost hydraulics, so we've not got the green channel hydraulics. And it may be that we can link them. PTU. Let's have a quick look overhead. PTU. That's already on, I think. So engine 2 pump should be providing pressure through that green channel. It's not coming from number 1 channel. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We can't do full flaps with only 1 engine running. And the reason for that is that the engine with thrust is going to push hard against the flaps. Right, I play MSFS off stream. You're going to have to understand that it's a bit busy when you're flying like this and trying to get all the instructions done properly. And sometimes I miss the chat. If I do, I apologize. But I'll catch up with it. I've got it on my screen. I can see your chat. Yes, I do fly off stream as well. I just fly for fun, and I do set up flights which I'm going to stream later and try them out, because sometimes it's nice to have done a flight before so you know what the ins and outs of the flight are. Now let's have a look at the screen here, because this is the point where we're going to get down to 16,000 feet, But if we put these constraints on, we know we've got to be at 3,000 feet by here. So there's a very steep curve, sort of a steep dive from where we are down to 3,000 feet at that corner there. Well, that's like 10, 20, 28 miles away. And we should be able to do it. We can get down to 16,000 feet there. As soon as we get there, they'll probably take us down to about 4,000 or 5,000 feet. We don't have any imbalances. If buffeting, we don't have any buffeting. Land as soon as possible. Air bleed, electrics, hydraulics, we know about those. Hydraulic PTU is on, that's showing that it's on. So that's where the number 2 engine is taking over number 1's hydraulic. There we go, look, the PTU is on, so it's showing pressure there. 2,000, 26,500, 3,000, yeah, 2,600. I've stuck to the Microsoft Flight Sim, mainly for cost. I like it. It's it does what I want to do. So we should be being told to drop lower now. I want to keep the speed lowish. I want to try and keep the speed below 240. Because I know that at some point I've got to put the wheels down. And I don't want to be above 240 odd plus knots when I do that. Right, I'm going to make the decision to go lower. Because normally I get told to do this as soon as you reach the height they tell you to reach, like 16,000. They tell you to change height. 9,000 feet. I told you. Right. So you've got to look at this in a bit more detail. Our 3,000 feet marker is there. So we want to really be slowing down. At the moment we're a bit fast to put the gear out. So I put the it says set green dot speed. So what I think I want to do is reduce our descent rate slightly to get some speed down. As soon as I get to 250, I can drop the gear down. That's the... There we go. Gear down. That's going to give us some drag now. And we're going to... we need to get down below 215 before we can put the flaps out. And that's the green dot there. So that's flaps 1. Flaps 2. Now this is where it gets tricky. We can't go to full flaps because our... Or we can go to full flaps, but we can't use reverse thrust. Excuse me. I'm about to land, yes. Good luck, Ace. About to land. Do I? Should be straight in front of me. There it is. So, let's go. We're on approach mode now. And we have got to drop a load of height. This is the glide slope for ILS, and it is not in a good place just now. We are going to have to be powering down to get this landed. Remember, we've got a damaged aircraft. So these are the inoperative systems. Wing, ice, Cat 3 dual, engine 1 bleed, pack 1, main galley, generator 1, engine pump. Those are the inoperative systems. But we know about those, so we should be alright. How far have we got to go? 5 miles? We've got a lot of dropping to do. We're lined up, but we're not on the glide slope. There's a good chance we're not going to land this time. Now this is one of those times where you would just go, no way, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to have to land in manual mode, I think. So I've just dropped off the autopilot. I'm going to do some crazy stuff to try and get on the runway. It looks like we're going to be going around. Yep, doing it. So we've only got one engine. I'm going to put the engine thrust up, but I have to counteract that with rudder. Because if I don't, that engine is going to push us off to one side. This is what I did before. So we only got one engine, and we're struggling to get altitude now. We're at Toga engine power, so at least we're at 1700 feet. I'm partially following the blue line, which is our escape route. This is our missed approach, and I'm also trying to get some altitude, and I'm also trying not to burn up our engines. Yes. So what I'm doing, I'm battling between speed and angle of attack. You can see the blue line, which is the missed approach line. I'm going to cut off that tail of it, and we're going to go back to one of the earlier parts of the go direct to Gannett, I think. G-A-N-E-T. So that'll take us direct to Gannett, wherever that was. I don't think we want that. What we want to do now is just shift this map out so we can see the airport and take a run at it, basically. If I had my first officer with me, it would be so much easier. So I'm going to go direct to EIDW. So that's Dublin there. What I just did was put the throttle back to climb, because the when I fly in the simulator, the real one, then I do have a first officer with me. Yeah, it makes a massive difference, because you can tell him to do all these tricky tasks, which frankly are a pain in the butt if you're on your own. Right, what I'm trying to do is, that's the IDW. Okay, my plan right now is to fly away from EIDW so that we have space to do what we need to do. So we know EIDW is that way, so I'm going to head that way. See, trying to turn this plane. It's really hard. It really does not want to turn. I've got almost full, whoops, nearly full right rudder on there. Left rudder. Right, let's just head away for a bit. Yeah, I do have kids. One is I think he's 42 now. Right, what we can do is get ourselves nice and level, and we can look up the flight plan. I'll look at what that is in a moment. Okay, so we should have some sort of flight plan if we're not dying. So we get down to 3,000 feet. If he's 42, yes. Logic will tell you something about me. Old enough to have a child who is 42. Whoops, we went over speed. That was a bit naughty. So what we're going to do, there's a TP. We're just going to head away from it for a bit, and then I'll turn back in. How would you like me to tell you my exact age? Would you say in minutes, hours, days? Over 60. Yeah, in the middle. 60, 64 this year. Right, so I'm turning around to try and get back to TP. Really? I was playing computer games when computers came in a big bag of components that you had to make yourself. My first computer was called a NASCOM 1, NASCOM 1. You ought to look it up. It was actually a kit. You had to build the computer out of all the components they gave you. It was on a board, and it had a massive 1K, 1 kilobyte of memory. Okay, so we're picking up the waypoint. I have to be a bit careful because the speed. Shush. All these alarms. Hi Andrew, how you doing? Yeah, I don't usually give people mods. It's something that happened a while ago, and do you really need to be a mod? Not really. It doesn't give you anything special. Andrew's MathCube's a mod, but I've known MathCubes for a huge amount of time. I think I've known him for about 5 years or more. I'm having a bit of a mare at the moment, a nightmare. I have got myself into all sorts of badness. I have got myself into a right model. I am spatially unaware of where the airport is. I've got all sorts of systems not working because of the fire. Let's have a look outside, see if we can see where we are. No idea really, to be honest. I'm just following my plan now. So the autopilot should be taking me to TD, and then on to EIDW. Well, I don't know about they've not really had a very dynamic flight. They wouldn't have noticed the engine fire. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have noticed the engine fire. Overspeed again. Why is this not working? And the autopilot kicks off. Right, I'm going to drop the throttle down to climb. Keeps wanting me to put it in toga. I actually don't know where the plane's taking me just now. I'm somewhat lost. Yeah, trying to, but every time I try and go fast, every time I try and go to a lower altitude, my speed picks up like that. So we should be probably putting the spoilers out. We've got so many things not working. Look, there's a list of stuff that's knackered. Right, so we are reducing our altitude. We're heading now for TP. We're entirely the wrong angle of approach for Dublin. Let's see what else we've got near us. What about Prestwick? So Dublin's 11 miles away. Should be okay. Right, so can we see Dublin ahead of us here somewhere? I think we're pretty too close. Hang on a second. Yeah. What? Oh, okay. It's lunchtime. Still can't see the runway. You'd expect it's pretty much straight ahead of us, but we're coming in from the wrong side. There it is there, look. That's good because that means we can fly directly away from the runway, but I'm not going to do it now. I am going to have to shut down the stream because lunchtime has been called. I'll pause the flight here and I'll pick it up a bit later on. So Math Cubes and good luck, Ace. I'll see yous later. I can't miss my lunch. Yeah, I'll talk to you on Skype later, Andrew, no problem. What time is it? 4 o'clock. Let's say something like 1500, no, 1400 Zulu. How's that? Okie doke. Okay, guys, lovely to meet you. Good luck, Ace, and thanks for all the questions. I am now going to end the stream and I'll finish the landing later. Okay, this is Nightmare on Scam Street.